You're listening to the B&H Photography Podcast. For over 40 years, B&H has been the professional source for photography, video, audio, and more. For your favorite gear, news, and reviews, visit us at bnh.com or download the B&H app to your iPhone or Android device. Now here's your host, Alan Weitz.
Welcome to the B&H Photography Podcast. My name is Alan Weitz. Greetings. Today we're going to talk about some of the more interesting cameras, lenses, and related gear announced since New Year's 2016, which is why we're calling this New Gear for the Mid-Year. Joining John Harrison and I today are the inimitable Levi Tenenbaum. Levi is a senior photography sales trainer at B&H. Also joining us today is Zev Slotkin, who in addition to being an avid photographer and gearhead, is one of our crackerjack navigation architects here at B&H. Zev and his teammates create and administer all of the landing pages, web categories, and category refinements on the B&H website. Welcome.
Thanks for the intro, Alan.
Pleasure. By the way, when you have a moment, tweet us your favorite camera gear of 2016 at BH Photo Video with the hashtag BH Photo Podcasts. So here we are. It's mid-year, new gear, and let's start talking about cameras. What's top of your list?
It's the K1, the Pentax.
Okay.
On the K1, I looked up this morning online. We have 25 reviews, all 5-star, solid 5-star, 25 reviews from our customers on that camera. So they're loving it.
Yeah.
I got into Pentax in the late 90s when the 43 millimeter came out. I was just intrigued by that lens, and I wanted it. And I bought a small body, a ZX5N, a small film body. And it was a pleasure to use. And when we got to digital, my first digital SLR was the ISDS, talking about, still don't know how to pronounce that camera, ISDS.
By the way, that was an error, that name. Did you know that? It really was.
I don't know what.
Yeah, somebody put asterisk down and they thought that was part of the name and it just became, and nobody knows how to say it.
I still don't know. So anyway, my first digital SLR and my first digital camera period, it was great. And then, no one was making full frame then. Right. So we were all in the same boat. I still can't believe it took this long. But here's the thing. 2007, 2008, what a time of change that was. I didn't realize the things that would be happening. The iPhone came out. The first Android phone came out. First mirrorless camera came out. If you went to sleep then and woke up now, we're in a different world. So I would have taken a K1 then. Now, I look at this camera, it's incredibly well-spec'd and featured, and I don't know if I would have ran for it then, but now,
this is like a story of love lost.
It's a little disappointing because I used to like, look at my 31 millimeter and the 43 and the 77. I said, oh, wait till I get a full frame for this, but too much time passed. I still have those lenses.
Yeah.
Who knows what will happen.
Well, that said, though, let's talk the camera a little bit.
It is a great camera. Out of the way.
Thank you for sharing, Zev.
I had to get that out.
This is a safe place.
Well, look, I've had it in my hands only once. They brought it down for us to get our hands on. Solid, heavy. It is a heavy camera.
It's a real camera.
Yeah,
it is a
great.
real
That's
camera.
what I love about those.
This is a killer camera for field work and for anything you do on a tripod, still life, landscapes. This was made for that. And a lot of people, I'm sure, are very happy with this. Really, I have nothing but good things to say about it, except, let's say, I'm speaking for myself and maybe some other photographers who are not field shooters. I'm a city guy, right? So I'd hope that Pentax would follow up making another full frame. And hear me out on this, a smaller, more, I could live without half the features of this camera. It would still be great. Right. And just, thin it out, make it lighter and smaller. So I could use my 31 and 43 and take it places where I would take a lighter camera, like your D750, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a big thing. It's heavy. It's heavier than the 5D SR. It's heavier than the D810.
They're trying to compare it with a lot of the pro-level bodies, and what I mean by pro-level bodies is a D5 or a 1DX. And price-wise and some of the specs, it compares, but no one's buying a pro-level body at $1,700.
And I think we'd all agree that, the K1 can't do what the that those two cameras do. It's not nearly as fast. It can't focus as well.
Yep. It has some really interesting features, high ISO, the durability of this camera. I don't think anyone's calling it into question. But this is not, I think they're missing their market. Like what Zevi's saying over here is that if you were to come out with a very, like price is fine, but if you'd come with a very accessible camera, not something that weighs and feels like a tank, you know, that it would be a lot more accessible to a lot of enthusiasts.
You know, right. And I think, and Alan, you have your A7s, we've all handled those and used those now for so many years. I couldn't get used to this big camera in my hands.
Right. I mean, they feel great.
They feel great,
they're
and it's well made.
Perfect, but
There's
they're big.
nothing wrong with it.
Can we jump into a couple of features about the camera?
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. What does it have that the others don't?
The camera is really fascinating. I mean, it's a 36 megapixel and it's got like a subset anti-aliasing filter, which you could like switch on and off, which is very unique. What's really fascinating, they have this really cool pixel shift technology.
Yes.
Which everyone is toting. I know that DP Review ran a very cool comparison between that and I think a Hasselblad 50 megapixel CMOS. And the pixel shift technology essentially is it's an old idea. It's just the first time we're actually seeing it in a camera body like this. And that's not true. I take that back. Olympus has been doing it for a while.
But an SLR.
In an SLR, full frame SLR, this is the first time we're seeing it.
Medium format, they were doing this 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I remember when they were also doing red RGB
yes.
in 4x5.
But
digital.
now we're doing it in consumer cameras, which is pretty amazing.
Exactly. So they're taking advantage of two things. One is they're taking advantage of, they have this Astro Shift technology. So there's a pixel shift technology, and then there's an Astro tracker technology, which are both really fascinating ideas. The pixel shift essentially is that the camera shifts over like nanometers.
Sensor.
Yeah, the sensor. Sorry, the sensor shifts over by nanometers, and it takes 4 images, composites them all together, and you get a super duper high resolution 36 megapixel image, which really is equivalent to something a lot higher. It's kind of like stacking multiple images together in Photoshop, and then getting the extra resolution there. So DP Review actually ran a test, and it came out phenomenally well compared to like a much higher megapixel camera.
By the way, it's not a gimmicky thing. Sometimes they come out with these little features that it's really kind of a gimmick. This really is accurate technology. It's not, you're not making up information or data. It really is recording separate data in different channels and combining it to one solid file. So it's not a gimmick. It really does work.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Hasselblad had this with the multi-shots.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, the 200 megapixel multi-shot.
Right.
Yep.
But we should say that this really only works with static subjects.
Yeah, you're not doing portraits with this.
Right.
Anything
that moves.
That's going to be the next big thing. I know Olympus said that's one of the things that they're trying to get right now is that if you can hand hold it, which is, that's, if they can pull that off, it's great.
Exactly. Even if your subject had to remain semi-still, for like a second, well, not a second, but like, split second, whatever it is, just like a fast, if you could do like a 40th of a second, that'd be amazing.
Let's jump on ahead, guys, to, well, we were just talking Hasselblad. What about the H6D, the 100C?
Delayed.
Okay.
Hasselblad's doing a really interesting thing with this is that they're offering a free trade-up, which is very fascinating to see them do. So if you're waiting for your 100C and in the interim you're buying a 50C, they'll allow you to trade in the 50C at, I don't know, was it $15,000 or $16,000 and get trade-up value to $30,000. But you get back exactly what you paid for the camera.
Oh, wow.
Which is really nice of them.
And the camera itself, this gigantic
camera
file
itself
that they create?
Yeah, they're doing it, to quote John Harris. They're still fighting the megapixel war.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still fighting the megapixel war. Phase 1 announced their 100 megapixel XF body already by Photo Plus, which was in October. Now Hasselblad's on it. Something unique about this camera, they have USB-C in the camera, which is really nice. So that's the first iteration that we're seeing of the new USB standard jack, which will allow you can rotate either way. So it's similar to the Apple Lightning jack that you can put in either way. Doesn't matter. And then there's a ton of transfer protocols that we could actually do over USB-C, but maybe we'll save that to later. But that's going to be very
Let's
fascinating.
talk about it now,
It's
because you think that's going to be, this will be the future.
USB-C, one of the things that they're trying to do, because they can pass Thunderbolt over it, they can pass audio over it, they can pass USB over it, they can pass HDMI over it.
Right.
They want to make it one jack fits all.
Right.
So,
And is there any indication other manufacturers are going to follow suit? at this
I don't know.
point? Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like there's enough there for people to buy into. So we just got to
Makes
see if
sense.
they're able
Yeah.
to make it that one standard. It'd be like having XLR. It'd be like, great.
Yeah.
I don't know about the cameras, but you can see it happening in the computer world, in the mobile products world. It's really catching on fast.
Yeah, in mobile, you're already seeing phones in China that are going to come out USB-C headphone jack. And like that's,
Okay.
yeah.
That's great.
As far as the camera itself, I got to play with it the other day. It's nice. It's faster than they've had until now.
I don't think speed is something you really need out of a camera like that.
You know what? I fully disagree with that point, but Hasselblad doesn't agree to my idea in that they really should invest in autofocus technology and actually make those cameras way faster and they'd be a lot more accessible. As much as people want to say that they're for fashion shooting, if anyone's ever shot one before, they are terrible. They are way slow.
No. As long as you are in one place and your model's not moving more than 6 inches one direction, it's very, very good.
Right, center focus.
Exactly. That's it. No, well, medium format's never really been known for speed. You're moving larger masses of, so that's part of the problem. You like a lot more weights being thrown back and forth. Everything's been scaled up. So I'm sure it'll get better with time. But yeah, that is a big issue. No two ways about it. Do you think there's much of a future for medium format? I mean, I've been hearing this for so long already. When I was in my last place of employment, we were real big on pushing medium format, and but after closing hours, we admit that it's just a matter of time because the 35 millimeter format camera is just getting so much better. And today, the stuff you can get out of some of the top of the line cameras is ridiculous. And the only difference I personally see is how you have differences in focal lengths, the way larger formats interpret the image differently than smaller format sensors. But as far as image quality and performance, medium format's kind of like backseat.
If we want to get really nitty gritty for a second and total gearhead techie, the big argument back in the day. Let's talk about film for a second, just so we can understand where this argument comes from. In film, if you had a 35 millimeter negative, you had less information than a 2 1/4 negative had, right? We all know that. Back in the day, when you had a 35 millimeter sensor and you packed 12 megapixels on it, and then you had, let's say, a 20 or 30 megapixel leaf aptus back, because that's how far back I'm gonna start quoting.
Yeah.
You had bigger pixels, better wells, and just better light transmission and better color. Nowadays, with the 50 megapixel sensors that we're seeing on Canon, we'll probably see from someone else. Sony's got a 42. The D800 was already challenging at 36. Their pixel pitch in the medium format, which is the size of your pixels and how much light they're able to gather, hasn't scaled up. So they're not really getting all the advantages that they could technically being offering on a larger chip.
Plus, there's a lot of software applications, a lot of firmware things that are also in the background, taking the quote unquote lesser amounts of light and amplifying it
Exactly.
after the fact. So they're making up for the losses. By the time it comes up and you see the file, a lot of work has already been done on it in the camera to make up for these deficiencies.
Yeah, but that's every company's doing that. But ideally, you would find like a Sony A7S has gapless sensor pixels, and it's able to accept more by going to less megapixels. It's able to get light better, bring in light better, and that's why it's an ISO beast.
Yes.
Theoretically, medium format should be making these much larger pixels, being able to attract much more light into it, even if it's a slower system, but your color and your dynamic range should shoot through the roof. Right now, they're not really shooting through the roof as well as they could be, especially compared to some of the other offerings, whether it's a D810, an A7R2 is doing phenomenally well dynamic range-wise, and they're just not competing where I think they could be competing. The one advantage that they still have is, as you pointed out, focal length, and more than focal length is more depth of field drop-off.
Yes.
So if you're shooting an f2 medium format lens, I mean, it's the mathematical equivalent is like 1.5 or 1, whatever it is. But we all know that look is amazing.
Yes.
Let's keep moving here, guys. Up to the we were talking about the Pentax, so let's talk a little bit quickly about the Nikon and the Canon flagships. Let's throw a comment about them.
I paid some attention to these. The D500, I think, especially exciting. Talking about long waits, there was a long wait after the D300S to get this camera. I thought Nikon was riding off that market and staying full frame for all their pro gear. But they listen. And
Well, they might have originally been dragging their feet and then realized,
right, there were enough people out there shooting, and needed that long reach that APS-C gives you. And they came in and it did a great job. I had the camera in my hand. They had it. It's phenomenal.
People love it. People love it. Right?
They packed it with features. They did everything that they probably should have done.
And who's the market? Pro shooters or the second camera for a pro shooter?
Prosumer.
Prosumer.
Right, you can have it.
Birders.
Like a left-hand camera for your D5, and it can even be your main camera.
Yeah.
Even it's so good that you can even consider shooting APS-C period for an SLR. And
What's the megapixel on it? 24.
I think it's 24 if I'm not mistaken.
Give me 1 second. We're pulling up the B&H app right now. If you do not have the B&H app, download the B&H app. This app, by the by, can I do a plug for the app? I love talking about this. Our app was featured at Google I/O a couple weeks ago or a month ago. We've won multiple awards on Apple and Google for this app. If you do not have this yet, download this app. It is amazing.
Okay. Will do. But the D5, we talked about it, several months ago, Levi?
When they were announced.
When they were announced. Is there anything that, any opinion changes on these two cameras? Are they still...
I think Sean and I kind of came out that the 1DX Mark II, as exciting as it was more evolutionary. It wasn't mind-boggling, no huge breakthrough over there for Canon. Some nice stuff, but no massive breakthrough. Whereas
the video was good. That was
the video was really nice. The D5, on the other hand, seemed like Nikon really got a chance. Nikon really got a chance to shine.
If you saw DP review, I mentioned that. We mentioned them before. They just finished a review of the D5. Very favorable review. I mean, I'll have to take their word for it, but they were very impressed by it.
Just for thing, it's 20.9 megapixels.
The D500. The D500.
Oh, okay. That's
so,
right. That's
but it's like shooting 4K. It's got time lapse. I mean, it's as Zevi pointed out before, it's exactly the camera that they need to make right now.
Can we switch gears quickly, or not quickly, but let's just switch gears to the Leica MD, and I'm going to throw this into the mix, the Impossible i1 instant camera. And this was, this kind of getting to the point that we talked yesterday about how we have these incredibly high resolution, high tech cameras, but at the same time, there's this lo-fi thing going on, and people are turning to film cameras, instant cameras, and in the case of the Leica, a camera that doesn't even have an LCD in the back. So,
and on Instagram, you have throwback filters, which are extremely popular.
Of course, so. absolutely. So we have these kind of dual trends. What do you guys know about the Impossible i1? Anything?
I took a look at it.
Has anybody actually handled it? I've just seen
never
pictures
touched
of
it.
Okay.
I just want to point out it's really fascinating in that it's an Impossible camera, so it shoots the Polaroid type film, instant film.
600.
But then it's got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do some control from your phone, from your tablet.
Okay.
Fascinating.
You mean for
mix.
remote control of the camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't record an image digitally that you can then send.
I don't remember if you can
I don't think it
transfer.
does that.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a sensor in there.
Yeah.
It uses Polaroid 600.
Looks like an old rotary phone. Missing
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
It does
And it's
look
even
like
shaped
that.
like that because it looks like a little pyramid going on top.
It's an old Bell phone, Bell Labs phone.
I think it's pretty cool. And, I've used the Fuji Instax, and I'm all
Fuji
on
Instax
board.
are
I'm
great.
all on board with this.
What's
they're fun
nice
to have,
about
yeah.
these kind of cameras is that if you use them in the right context, specifically like a party, there's no way you could take a picture of somebody with a camera like that and not having them hamming it up or smiling. There's no way you're standing there straight-faced when somebody aims one of these things at you because it's such a goofy camera, and that's part of the appeal of it.
They're for fun.
is.
But
Yeah,
and
it's
artists are using them too and doing interesting things.
So there's a magic to Polaroid that's always going to be there to an instant picture.
Impossible.
It's far, exactly. I stand corrected, yes. That you'll never get. Yeah, you could look at the picture on the back of an LCD, but it's not the same thing as holding this little print that doesn't go away when you turn the camera.
I know now.
So talking about looking at the back of an LCD,
Yeah.
Leica came out with the MD Type 262 with
I love
no back. Alan loves it.
I love it.
First
of all, remember, this is from the same company that a couple of years ago came out with a commemorative limited edition camera for Hello Kitty and Playboy.
Yes.
I mean, come
my
on
favorite
now.
camera.
Okay, that really, Leica's done some bizarre things in there, Tom, just in these limited. But this is kind of special. Now, the funny thing about this is that we spoke about this yesterday meeting. You could take pretty much any digital camera and just turn the screen off.
Yeah.
and achieve the same effect. If you want to be disciplined, saying, I don't want to be distracted. But the fact that Leica did this, and they actually created a camera that's not inexpensive, that you have to go home and just like in the good old days, you can't get instant gratification. You have to go home. You have to do something else. It's just not right there. And I love that whole aspect of it. Whether it's sane to spend that kind of money for it, that's another issue. I don't know. But I happen to love it. I think it's exciting. And, if I win the lottery, I'm probably going to buy one. And then I'm going to bring it to a jeweler and have him engrave that little Hello Kitty symbol on it.
They made 1,000 of those. I tell you right now, it is my favorite camera just because I think that the collusion of Hello Kitty and Playboy is the funniest thing.
Yes. Yes.
Leica, I'll say this. I have a lot of respect for Leica for coming out with products that they just don't care what anyone's going to say. They come out with these, they're going to do it no matter what. And they're actually for a very conservative company, or they at least have that that appeal as a very conservative, old-fashioned company. They come out with their own medium format system from the ground up. It was an amazing thing for them to do. The Leica SL, I think, took us all by surprise. A brand new mirrorless where they had the M already, the Q, this XU camera, which we might talk about.
And they were a very tiny company.
They're a tiny company, and they do these things, all these strange additions for like monochrome cameras. Who else is doing that?
Yes.
So
Red.
Well, right, okay.
Well, I love the idea of the monochrome. That makes sense somehow to me. But to have a digital camera without the LCD, when you can just, as Alan said, turn off an LCD, I'm not quite sure I get that. But
yeah, the LCD I think takes me for surprise. When you have a digital camera, you take that away. It's
almost the most important thing.
Obviously, customers wanted this. They got enough feedback from their shooters or people in the Leica land who want that.
They've done it before.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they've done it before.
This is the second camera with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave it at that.
I guess the commonality for me with the Impossible project is that they're again a company doing what they want and coming out with, resurrecting these films and getting these cameras refurbished and this i1 camera. Yeah. They're just in it.
Everyone has respect for this. Yeah,
they're doing what they want. Yeah. It's good to see.
Okay.
By the way, as a little side note here, I have a Kickstarter campaign going on right now that we're manufacturing little 3-inch strips. They're made out of black leatherette with a little frame on it and adhesive, and it goes on the back of any LCD, and you could turn any camera you have into an MD type camera. All right, Kickstarter campaign. It was starting in about 3 weeks. I'm working on it feverishly right now.
Well, talking about companies that are doing their own thing, how about Sigma? I mean,
they're
the SD Quattro. The SD Quattro H, they're getting into the mirrorless business, and we all know about their
SD or nasty Quattro. You just
did I say the nasty Quattro?
The nasty Quattro. By the way, that's going to be the name of this product I'm coming out with.
Okay. But anyway, the Sigmas.
They are chasing Foveon like it's nobody's business, and there are some interesting things that come out of Foveon.
Yeah, I like the DPs,
and there are challenges with them.
Yeah.
They're definitely. I don't think that they're winning any design awards with these cameras.
No.
But still.
But Foveon is good technology. I agree with you. It has been at the core of it. Problem with the Sigma, they make good lenses. They make a lot of great lenses. These Quattros, mirrorless cameras that take big SLR lenses. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
What's more shocking to me? What's more shocking to me is they're still beating this Sigma mount. I don't know if they can't get licensing from one of the other companies, but they should just sell this with a converter to Canon lenses. I mean, that's what I would do, and I would get rid of the Sigma mount completely. And what's also interesting is they have the Quattro and the Quattro H, and the Quattro H is going back to this like 1.3 crop that we used to see in like the original 1Ds,
right?
Yeah, which is also just a weird format at this point in time.
I guess they were able to produce both. Someone who wants a larger sensor can get it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not. It's a mirrorless camera with a SLR lens.
But 2 points for
Pentax
them,
tried that.
Did it.
The KL1, it didn't work. Remember the KL1, that yellow camera?
Leica's doing it with the SL.
It was a mirrorless camera that took SLR lenses.
Yes,
didn't work.
All right. Well, we'll leave that at there and go to let's talk Sony. We got the RX10 Mark III, the A6300.
So a couple interesting things about Sony. Two of their imaging factories are down. One of them is really massive factory. One of them is a smaller factory. One of them is shut down indefinitely, and the initial reports were, but they still had enough imaging stock to supply the demand. That's what the claim was at the time. They also happen to be 40% of the market for imaging sensors, and so they're half of their stuff is down. So it ends up being like 20% of the imaging market worldwide is out of production right now. So it's just a crazy amount if we try to wrap our minds around it. At the same time, as time is going on, it's trickling out more and more delays, and then not delays, and then delays, and then not delays. I mean, I know that our buyers are going a little crazy because they're not sure whether or not there's going to be stock or there will be stock. And there's a lot of other companies that rely on it, as Alan pointed out earlier. Like, I don't know if the DLs for Nikon are using Sony sensors, but I know that the DL keeps getting delayed.
Well, yeah, now the September, October was supposed to be out the end of June.
Exactly.
That's bumped off.
Let's talk about. Can we talk about the DL really quickly while we're here? Okay, what do you
Great
have to
little
say about
series of I love it.
a new format for.
Yeah, smart idea. I'm down with them.
Okay,
Smart idea.
all right, Dev.
Yeah, 1-inch sensors are that's where we're going to be beginning
And they're
from.
all fixed lens, like
dedicated
three
cameras.
different
Yeah.
cameras? Is that
Three
what it is?
different focal
cameras,
lengths.
three different
focal
focal length
lengths,
ranges.
okay,
Yeah.
Right.
including a wide-angle zoom, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Zev, you liked the RX10 Mark III. You were saying that yesterday. You were pretty excited about it.
Amazing. A lot of great stuff in that one package.
Right.
I mean,
You got the 1-inch sensor, and you got an amazing lens with 28 to
24 to 600.
24 to 600.
F4.
and it's fast.
Yes.
Wow. 2.8 to f4. It's a very f4 at the long end. Great video. People shooting great video with
A
it.
reasonable physical size
4K.
and weight.
Yeah, I mean, when you add it up, I mean, for what it is, it gives you so much in a light
It's
package.
a true all-in-one. Usually all-in-ones mean they do a lot of different things not well. This one actually does a lot of things well.
So the RX10 is like a very interesting market. I think even Sony's not 100% sure what market the RX10 fills, because when it first came out, it was a 24 to 200, 2.8 constant, but it had tremendous video capabilities. I mean, it still has tremendous video capabilities, 4K, constituting XAVCS. I mean, it shoots phenomenal video. I mean, I think in S-Log, I mean, it's just a crazy video camera. So photographers didn't know what to do with it because it was 24, 200, 2.8, but it came out at like $1,500 or whatever it was. It was too expensive for a lot of people who were looking at that kind of power zoom style camera. Whereas videographers were looking at it and saying like, this is fantastic. That's a photojournalist. I can take this anywhere. It's a 2.8 and it's an all-in-one camera and I can shoot stills with it also that are acceptable for publication. So it kind of is feeling like this really interesting place where I think it's more focused toward like photojournalists or like people who need like an all-in-one camera like on location and do a lot of shooting. This camera now, though, with the 24 to 600, could even fill that kind of all-in-one zoom area for photographers because you have that power zoom now. You have very long zoom range, but it's still expensive. It's still kind of up there in price-wise of what you would see compared to other cameras in this kind of power zoom area.
But the amount of photographic power that you get, the amount of imaging abilities that you get, there's not very much you can't do with that focal length and with that imaging sensor.
Exactly. It's no Nikon P90, so it's not going to give you that 1,000 times zoom. But
900. That one.
900, sorry,
Yeah.
900. But it like, firstly, this camera dropped like total surprise. I had no idea that it was happening. Someone like mentioned to me, hey, you heard about the RX10 Mark III? And I thought that they were messing with me because Sony, announces something new every other day.
Right.
Yes.
But usually there's 500 rumors about what's coming out, so you kind of know what's happening. And this literally hit me by surprise. I said, what are you talking about? I ran downstairs, looked at my computer, and said, whoa, they've done this, and this is such an interesting camera. First time that they're doing 4K still grab. I think it is in pre-record for 4K, which is really cool. And just a 600 f4 for $1,500.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, it's still a 1-inch sensor. So I guess I agree. On the one hand, it takes a better photographer or videographer to appreciate what this does.
Right.
I don't think it's a beginner's all-in-one travel zoom. I guess you could use it that way. But a more advanced photographer will appreciate its features. Then when you take a second look, you say, it's still just 1 inch.
Right.
I might need my other cameras for,
Right.
with
Depends
better
what
lenses.
you're
Depends
doing
what you're
and what you
doing.
need.
Yeah.
It's a secondary. I don't know if it's a primary camera. It just depends on what you're
If you're a
trying to do.
videographer, this could be a primary camera. I mean, as long as you have the batteries to support it.
Yeah.
And also, I think I'll throw in, if you want to go back to still photography, I think if you are an amateur, a consumer, and you want to have a camera that'll do a lot of things very, very well, it's a perfect choice.
I'm going to interrupt here to throw out, just to mention the A62300, and then let's jump to the Olympus Pen F, and then we'll wrap it up for this segment. But anyone have something to say about that?
A1600, just wow.
Okay.
What a great camera. Super fast, great sensor, great video capabilities even. If you've ever done autofocus on this camera, it is tremendously fast. I'd say the one holdback on this camera, it's been the same thing with the A6000, is that it buffers out just way too fast. It is shooting 11 frames per second. It is just blazing fast. But you buffer out in literally like one small burst. So you're going like, wait a second. I thought I had more pictures to do.
Well, turn the clock back not very far, and people go, "That's awesome! I don't need anything else." Of
course.
And of course, we're spoiled again.
Yeah.
Well, as Evie said, if this was 2008.
And what about the Olympus Pen F? That's also, it's a new camera, and that's pretty hot too. That's nice.
Beautifully designed camera. Just look at it. The minute I saw that picture, I said, "Wow, that's nice." Even I'd go for that. I'm not Micro Four Thirds.
Olympus does a nice, elegant design. Their form factor.
They finally did. For a number of years, they had these EPL cameras, and none of them had built-in EVFs. It was a real weakness. So a real photographer, a more enthusiast photographer likes to have a viewfinder, and none of them were there. You could buy external ones.
It's not even pro photographers that need an EVF.
Right, exactly. Just an enthusiast photographer, a committed photographer wants an EVF. You need it sometimes.
You need it, yeah.
So here you go. They finally put one in the camera, a nice one. And it just resonated so well, the design, and it takes great images. I've seen stuff online, just a fun camera to be creative with and just to take everywhere.
And great lenses.
Yeah, the lenses.
Fantastic
lenses are fantastic. There's no getting around that.
All right, speaking of lenses.
Yeah. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about lenses.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of the B&H Photography Podcast. Send us a tweet at BHPhotoVideo, #BHPhotoPodcast.
We are back. Okay, lenses. Let's start talking. We got a whole list of lenses here. Let's start talking about Sony. The two of them that we put on our list are the 50 FE1.8 and the 70-300 4.5 to 5.6. What's so special about these?
They finally got a thrifty 50.
Actually, there's nothing very special about a 51.8. Everyone's had them for a long time, but now Sony's in the game with that. And I agree with Levi that it hits the market, part of the market which they were kind of neglecting. I'd love to see an A7 Mark III, like packaged with the 2870 and the 7300. That's a nice way to get into Sony full frame mirrorless without breaking the bank for the 7S and the 7R2.
It's like $1,500. What a great way to get into full frame.
So with lenses like this, you could, an enthusiast could really get into it.
Now, you mentioned the 70-300. We weren't going to talk about that, but you kind of insisted. What do you think?
You know what? Their longest lens now.
Yeah.
So even, they don't have a 300 anything.
In mirrorless.
In mirrorless, in their own system.
Yes.
I wish, though, I think going back to the A6300, which we spoke about, such a small and compact camera. I wish, now, if you want a telephoto for that from Sony, you kind of have to get, this would be a logical choice, but it's kind of large for a camera like that. Maybe, now that Sony seems to be sticking with APS-C, we're going to cameras for a second. With APS-C, cameras are going to stay alive in the 6300 series, 6000, 6300, or whatever's coming next. And maybe they should think about making a couple of better APS-C lenses for it, so that this camera doesn't have to use oversized full-frame lenses.
Well, talking about oversized full-frame lenses,
Here you go.
This is a great segue to their G Master series, which everyone, I know we were all waiting for finally them to go wide aperture in all the standard focal lengths. So there's a 24 to 72.8, there's a 70 to 200 2.8, and an 85 1.4. Sony, if you're listening, you need. I don't know if there's a physical requirement for the lens to be this big. I don't believe so, seeing as Leica is able to put out stuff that's way smaller. So get us small.
We need a bigger camera.
I haven't
handled.
No, please, no.
Sony, I want to stay with the smaller camera. I want to stay with the smaller camera. Put out lenses with the wider apertures that are smaller.
How does the 20? I haven't handled the 24 to 70 or the 70-200. How do they compare to the, say, Nikon and Canon equivalents or Sigma equivalents?
So the 70 to 200 is not out yet. I haven't touched it.
Okay.
The 24 to 70.
What do you think it'll be?
I think it's going to be phenomenal. I can tell you, judging by what they've done. Okay, firstly, the 24 to 70 f4, which came out with these cameras, is.
I have one. It's a good lens.
Yeah,
I like
if-
it. Stop
if
down a
you
little
need
bit. It works great.
Speaking of lenses for Sony, the Zeiss Batiste 18mm f2.8. We all love these Zeiss lenses, the Otis, the Batiste. They're great lenses. The optics are incredible.
They're doing a great job,
Okay.
Zeiss. And the 18mm, I was just telling Alan, that's it was a gift. It just, it's a special lens that I guess they didn't have to make, but it's great to have an 18mm for those who really want wide.
But this is
with
for
autofocus.
the
Full frame.
APS. This is for full frame.
Full frame.
Yeah, that's a full
okay.
frame
It's a
lens.
full frame
Yeah.
lens.
All right.
And it
So-
fits, and the form factor and weight factor are perfect for the A7
Exactly.
series cameras.
Exactly.
They're really, really, they fit beautifully. They're nice to use. They really, really are.
That's
The,
great.
the 18mm feels like 28mm. Like we're there's lovers of it, and like not everyone needs it. Like a lot of people I know don't like to shoot 28mm. I think 28mm is a fantastic focal length. 18 is kind of that. People think wider, like I want 16, 15, 14. But like 18 is kind of like it's a really good space to be in.
But it's never been a real popular focal length, though.
Right, it's like 28.
Yeah, Leica makes ones, and I think if you look at the numbers from Leica and from Zeiss, 18mm is never been their big seller because people, it's like
Yeah,
they'd
it's
rather
a
go to the
super
15
wide. It's in
already.
between.
Exactly.
If you're going to go that far, really go far.
Exactly. It's an
But they're
in-between
doing
lens,
it,
but
and it's good.
It's great. And
Nice addition.
I just want to do a shout out to Zeiss over here. All their refreshes, their Luxia, their Battis, the Milvis, and Otis have all been they're
Top-notch.
killing it.
Yeah.
They're top notch. They're maintaining the quality that you expect from that brand. What about the Samyang 14mm 2.8 and 50-1.4 with autofocus?
So these are announced. These are not even, I think, on order yet.
Right, we don't
They're,
have them at
they're
all.
not on the
Yeah.
site.
They're not
I
on the
checked.
site.
No.
They're
Yeah.
not.
okay.
So
Announced
these are
only.
just announced. This is really exciting because we're seeing, for those of you who are not familiar, it's Rokinon, Samyang, Bauer, I think Wally or Wally Max, whatever. There's like 4 lens companies which seem to be coming out of the same factory in Korea.
and that's because they are.
I think Samyang is the parent company.
Yeah, that
It's
is
either
the, yeah.
Samyang or Rokinon. One of them is
I think
is
it's
the
Samyang,
parent.
Yeah.
But regardless,
Nobody knows, though.
they're well known for these budget type lenses. They have some very interesting lenses as far as they're really decently priced. They're your stripped down bare bones kind of things, but they have
manual focus up until now.
Yeah,
Oh,
manual
okay.
focus up until now. But they have focus confirmed chips. They have cinema lenses, which were very popular in the HDSLR
They make
mirrorless
tilt
community.
shift, the 24 tilt shift. I've used
Exactly.
them. They're actually very sharp.
They are surprisingly sharp, but especially when you compare it to the cost that you're getting them at.
Yes.
Their focus marks aren't always exactly. So this is coming from a video shooter. If you go to infinity, sometimes you have to go slightly beyond infinity in order to get there. So you can't fully trust their witness marks. But they're now going into autofocus, which is like cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if this ends up being like the young now of lenses, where just super packed and comes out at half the price of what the brands come out at.
Well, we were talking about wide angle focal lengths that are maybe odd. And Alan, I know you're really excited about the Voigtlander 10mm.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
As soon as we got them into stock, I requested one, and I'm actually doing a review on one right now. I've been using 15mm rectilinears for 30 years now, starting with the original Nikons on my Nikon F3s. They made a 5.6 and an F3. 3.5. But what's amazing about it is that anybody who's been shooting digital with wide-angle lenses, especially some years ago, you know about the soft edges and the color smear and everything else. Voigtlander's nailed it. Now, Voigtlander is actually Cosina, and these lenses are made in the same factory as a lot of the Zeiss lenses that we're selling that we've been talking about. And Cosina really has been taking notes in manufacturing stuff. And when they bought over the Voigtlander name and started producing these new lenses, mostly in M mounts, they're doing an amazing job. And the new 10mm 5.6, the Helior Hyper, I love the name. It does still go a bit soft on the edges, especially wide open, but there's no color smear. Very little vignetting. It has a 130-degree angle of view. It's rectilinear. It does not distort. Zero. If you're working on a tripod, it's easy to do interiors and architecture. And I've been walking around using it handheld and getting straight lines, hand holding it. And it's just amazing to use. It requires a little bit of concentration. You're taking in a lot of imaging. You think you're filling the frame with something small, and all of a sudden you see. Here's the way I sum it up. When you aim this lens straight ahead of you, at the same time, you're also looking up, looking down, and way left and way to the right. It sees everything. But when the pictures work, it's amazing what it can do, and it can be used. Here's an interesting thing. It's ultra, ultra wide, and I would say about a third of the photographs I've taken, you would not be aware that I took them with a wide-angle lens.
Wow.
You showed me some of the shots. They look good, and you should mention how well it balances on the camera. Since
Oh,
it's
beautifully balanced. I'm using it on an A7R2. It's a perfect match. Everything is right there, and you can carry it around
feels
the whole
just
day.
right.
Yes.
It's what, if you're a wide angle junkie, a lot of people are. This is like your fix.
This you might
is a
actually
10
OD on this one. Let's put it this way. To show you how wide this and how okay, when you put on a focus peak, the whole frame turns red, no matter where you're focused. I mean, everything is in focus. It's really insane. But I'm very excited about it. I own the 15 Voigtlander, the new version 3. It's an amazing lens. This is a perfect complement. And what's particularly neat about this, if you put this lens on an APS-C format camera, you have the equivalent of a 15 millimeter. And it's another thing I thought about, and I've shot a lot of pictures for magazine layouts and for web layouts and pages and things of that sort. What's nice about this, I realize, is that if you have to take a picture of a large area, and you also have to have space left over, left, right, for, say, headlines or text or inset photographs, this lens is perfect for taking in your subject and still having a lot of space left over where it could be used for dropping in all of these other things. So if you're working commercially, it's a very good tool for that. You can get all your data into one side of the image and leave the other side just for the art director or designer to drop in whatever they have
That's really
to do.
interesting. What's most interesting about this lens is Voigtlander started making stuff directly for E-mount, whereas before we used to be adapting them from M.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is an E-mount lens, which is also nice because it talks directly to the Sony, which is great.
And I hope that Voigtlander is looking at their other M lenses and thinking of reworking those for E. It'd be great. There's some great lenses that they've got there.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
40s and they're 50s, and that's 78 millimeter. What is that?
75.
75, 1.8.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's jump ahead, sorry guys, to I guess the two big third-party lens companies, Tamron and Sigma. Everyone's pretty keen on the art series. I think we all agree that they're doing pretty good things
That
with
was
their
the
lenses.
first thing that came to my mind.
But I have the Tamron SP85 f1.8 and specifically the Sigma 50 to 100 f1.8 and the 24 to 35 f2, the two new Sigma art lenses.
Yeah.
And,
That's for Nikon only?
Probably Nikon, Canon, and SA, probably. No?
NSA.
I believe that is it.
Yeah.
So they're good. Anything
Levi,
else
you
to
have
talk
the
about?
B&H app? You can check that for us.
I am looking at that right now.
I would say,
they do
you
have
know,
for Canon. Maybe it
coming
got
from
announced originally for Nikon. Okay.
The company, Sigma, Tamron, and Tokina. Let's throw them the old. Let's go the old guard SLR lens companies. I mentioned this to you a couple of weeks ago. Just having a conversation about how these companies seem to be missing the mirrorless market. If you look at what they have for mirrorless,
they don't.
Their heart is not there.
Right.
They're just not there. They're making these art lenses and these 1.8 zooms and f2 zooms are amazing. That's where they are, and they're just not there with mirrorless.
So
it's strange. I
Well,
don't know
with Sigma,
why that
maybe
is.
they'll start making some for their own new mirrorless
Well,
camera.
they did
but
with this adapter. They're selling their art lenses with an adapter for Sony E.
Exactly, the MC11.
Right. Let's hold off on that for a quick second because I definitely want to talk about it. And it's interesting because we hope to be doing an interview with the Sigma people about just this. So
This would be something curious to bring up with them.
Definitely. Let's jump quickly to the Lensbaby Twist 60, and then we'll go to gear or miscellaneous gear besides lenses.
Yeah, so the Lensbaby Twist 60 is really fascinating. It's an optic where you spin around the outsides of the edges of your photo.
Okay.
I used to do this and still do every once in a while. You do slow shutter while you spin the camera, and the center's in focus and the outside is twisting. With the twist optic, you get kind of twist the outside, and you get kind of this like spiral effect. It's just funky. Cool. It's like a gimmicky type lens, but that's exactly what Lensbaby does.
Lensbaby? Come on.
I want to jump back to the Zeiss Batis 18mm 2.8 for a second.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this also during the break, is that what Zeiss is doing is they're not trying to release like these super wide aperture lenses. Like you're not going to see a 1.4 out of Zeiss or a 1.2. They're making tremendously sharp across from edge to edge. Just everything is in sync. There's no aberrations, there's no pin barreling or cushioning or anything like that. And that's because that they're doing it at this 2.8 where they don't have to refine as well, and they're also able to make smaller lenses at that point.
Smaller, lighter, better form factors that match mirrorless camera bodies better than, like Zeb was just saying, these great lens, but they're monstrous. So a lot of these Zeiss designs, they're all meant to be for smaller camera bodies. And to me,
Right.
I'm sold on that.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, depth of field aside, okay, we all have cameras now that have ridiculous kinds of degrees of image stabilization, and you don't necessarily need
And high ISO.
And high ISO. There's so many ways of getting around all this stuff that, again, unless you need the optical qualities of a very wide aperture.
Exactly.
But if you're stopping down anyway, it works fine. Okay, we're going to take another break, and we come back, we're going to talk about accessories and miscellaneous gear, software, and other neat stuff for mid-year review.
If you'd like to reach out to us with your questions or comments, email us at podcast@bhphoto.com.
Okay, welcome back. All right, we're going to wrap up the last third of the show, talk about gear, accessories, software, all the miscellaneous stuff that we didn't talk about so far. And top of the list is the Broncolor Cirrus L. It's a new battery-powered flash system from Broncolor. Was it 200 and 400?
No, 400 and 800.
400 and 800 watt seconds, which is a lot of power. It means you can go out in the middle of nowhere, miles and miles from an electrical outlet, and still take wonderful studio imagery. Anybody have their hands on that yet? I'm familiar with the Pro Photo battery
Seen
pack.
it.
This is their answer.
So this is their answer to it. It's really well designed. I mean, it's a Broncolor.
Yeah,
Well designed, the way the battery fits in, seamless. It's not, popping out the side kind of like the Pro Photo is. No TTL.
Which in this day and age.
And they say because they don't feel like professionals use it. I think that is the most bizarre statement I've heard out of a company in a long time.
I think they were trying dial-up for a while, but they had a lot of problems with it. That's just a rumor I heard.
I'm totally fine with having full manual controls and saying there's a lot of us professionals who would never use TTL, but at this day and age to try to compete with the Pro Photos, the interfits, and say we're going to put out something that's more expensive than everyone else, and we're going to strip away TTL. I for the life of me
I don't
can't
think
figure
it's
this
going to be
out.
too long. My guess is there's going to be some kind of an accessory coming out soon because Broncolor is they've been using wireless stuff for a while on a lot of other stuff, and it's surprising that it's not in this system right off the as they launch it. But my guess is they're going to be coming out with some kind of an attachment or accessory that will be able to do this. If they're not, it's foolish.
Well, it'll probably be built into the receiver. They'll make a transmitter like their RF3 or RF4 that will allow it to do all the transmitting of TTL. The positives of this system are it's a Broncolor. It's a really good 400, which
it's accurate numbers.
Accurate.
Yeah,
it's
they
accurate
don't
numbers,
cheat the numbers.
and their
That's
800
correct.
is an 800, and these are blazing fast. I mean, they are
color
they're
accuracy.
beautiful.
The color, no matter what you do, you're going to get consistent color
Throughout the range.
That's one situation, in one case where you really do get what you pay for. It's not just the name.
the good sense.
That's been, it's not junk. It's real good. Real
All
good
right,
stuff.
sticking with lights, the Nissin i60A.
That's the alternative
Flash.
to this new Broncolor system.
or not, but this is Nissin's new flagship full radio TTL.
Okay.
I mean, yay.
It's a good flash.
Yeah.
All right.
Radio TTL. So I'm just going to bring it up now because I'm talking about it right here. Everyone's doing radio TTL at this point. Nikon now brought out
Trend
one, which is
alert.
a really, trend alert. Everyone's doing radio TTL, which is why I'm so surprised that the Broncolor doesn't have radio TTL. But Phoenix, Canon's already in the second iteration of it. Nissin's now doing it. Nissin, also the i60A, is released for, drum roll, Sony mount. So Sony, for those of you not familiar, the Sony shoe is a very unique type of shoe. Most manufacturers not making speed lights for the Sony shoe. This is a flash that's actually made in the size and the proper set for the Sony E-mount shoe, which is something that is very exciting.
It's the multi-interface shoe.
The multi-interface shoe.
And for those of you who don't know, the Sony shoe is actually the original Minolta shoe.
Well, no, they
10 years ago.
changed
They
it.
changed
It
that.
used
But
to
you
be
can
the
cut that one
Minolta
out,
shoe,
okay.
Yeah.
and now they changed to multi-interface shoe. One of the biggest problems that manufacturers have with this shoe is that this shoe is slightly deeper because at the front it's made to take pins so that flash, any accessory that goes on the top can talk directly to the cameras, which is a great benefit of the multi-interface shoe. But it's not like your standard hot shoe which you could just slap stuff off and on, which leads to a ton of problems when you're coming to radio transmitters and receivers for flashes. I cannot tell you how many times we get phone calls. My Pocket Wizard's not fitting. This is not fitting. That's not fitting. My Young now, but whatever it is, none of them are fitting, and that's because this sizing just seems to be slightly different. And we've even tested, like some of our cameras, not a problem. Tried it out with some of the other cameras, and it is a problem. So
Okay. The Sigma MC11 adapter, you mentioned it earlier.
Yep, Sigma MC11. So Sigma had trouble with Metabones and other companies adapting their lenses with all of these auto adapters, I highly recommend that you always look at what lenses are compatible.
Yeah.
Because not always are all lenses compatible. Even lenses from the same manufacturer may not be compatible just due to whatever.
Right.
And so Sigma was having trouble with adapters, and so they brought out their MC11, which is an EF to E-mount adapter, which is specifically targeted at adapting Sigma's own lenses. It comes out at $300, which is $100 cheaper than the Metabones, but it will also adapt over a lot of the popular Canon lenses. What's really nice about the Sigma adapter is twofold. One is you can update the software, which a lot of the other ones will do. Or, sorry, not the software, but the firmware, so you can plug it in via USB. The other thing that's very nice about it has a little light on the side, which it will glow green if the lens is fully compatible. It will go orange if it's like sort of compatible or needs an update, and it will not light up if it's not compatible.
Okay.
And that is, I got to hand it to whoever's at Sigma. They've definitely used their brains.
Yeah.
I want to make one recommendation, and this actually comes from Mark Farb, our Sigma trainer. I was talking to him that you should be able to do all your lens updates from there as well. Which right now you still need to use the USB dock for.
So the adapter doesn't fit with the dock at all anyway.
It's not used in conjunction with the dock.
Okay.
So it doesn't take the place of the dock. You can't do any of the stuff that the dock does. But I think that would be really simple firmware stuff. And that Sigma, if you're listening, make this adapter into dock, and you're going to have a tremendous product here.
Great.
What about the Tether Tools case relay? We were talking about strobe before. I was going to follow up with that.
Yeah, so Tether Tools, a company known for tethering and some odds and ends accessories, made a very interesting case relay system, which is essentially your dummy battery into direct power. But, and here's the big thing that they did over here, is that this can go off of a regular USB battery pack like you would use to power your phone.
Ah, okay.
And you can power your camera. Sony NF, Canon LP6, so the LP, Nikon EN. So they have a bunch of they have this for Fuji as well. Pretty much a lot of location shooters, and especially in the mirrorless, we're always running out of battery.
Right.
And this is a way to have constant power, particularly if you're doing like time lapse work.
Right.
This is a great system to have.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's interesting. Okay.
And then what about the Atomos Flame and overall HDR monitoring, etc.?
Yeah, so Atomos, for those of you who know what Atomos is a recorder and screen and monitor. They announced the Flame, I want to say a couple months ago, and the big thing about it was it came out at 1,500 nits, so super bright. And as well, they also announced in the Flame that it's going to have HDR monitoring, pretty much being able to show the dynamic range that things like the Sony a7S II can capture, the a7R can capture, or other high-end, high dynamic range cameras can capture. And the trend over here, because I'm just going to jump to trend because it's right here, is HDR monitoring. You're going to see this on TVs. You're going to see this on monitors. Essentially, now that 4K is kind of coming here and it's kind of here to stay, is the next big step is outside of resolution is to being able to show darker blacks and brighter whites in every color in between. And that's what these are doing. So way more color fidelity, way higher color accuracy, and just overall more colors to look at and please your eye with.
Right. While you're shooting.
While shooting or watching.
You watch it too.
For that matter, TVs are coming out with it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
we're going to see this everywhere.
Have you
Go
had
ahead.
a chance to use the On-One RAW?
No, so On-One RAW is announced.
Announced. Okay. I wasn't sure about that. Okay.
I think it's coming out, I think according to what they were saying, like fall time. So On-One makes a whole bunch of plugins, really nice set of plugins. They have perfect portrait, perfect resize, perfect black and white. I mean, they have a great
They can
set
also
of
be used
software base.
standalone.
They can be used standalone or plug into Lightroom or Photoshop. Thank you. They've now announced a RAW converter, which this is huge because no one else has kind of redesigned RAW conversion at this point. Capture One's been around for a long time. DxO's been around for a long time. And as you all know, Adobe's been around for a long time. And for those of you who've been with Lightroom since 1, which I've been, it's getting a bit clunky. And it's slowing down a bit, especially when you're starting to work with some of these larger file formats. It's particularly the clunky part here, and something that On-One is looking to remove, is that when you have to do ingest, because Lightroom is a catalog and you have to do ingest, that can sometimes take a little bit of time. what All-in-One is doing is now that we have really powerful graphics cards and a ton of RAM and SSDs and all this other stuff inside of our computers, they want to leverage graphics to be able to make super fast raw processing, able to see your images right away, do adjustments right away, not have to wait for it to move a slider and then wait for it to adjust or anything like that. They're saying it's 10 years in the making. It's a ground up kind of thing. I think this is going to be a very interesting product when it does land, if it does everything that they're saying it does.
And you were talking about graphics before. What about the GTX 1080?
So GTX 1080, for all the computer geeks out there, this is a card that is claiming to be as powerful as a Titan X, which is an $1,100 graphics card, and it's coming out at $599, I think, or $699. It's been announced. Yes, we have had millions and millions of phone calls asking when they're going to get their GTX 1080 because apparently we had it on our site available for like 30 seconds and it was sold out.
Wow. So
Is this for VR playback or VR production?
This is for 4K. I think it's going to be fast enough to do VR playback. It's for gaming. I think you can only put 2 of them into SLI, so you can't do like 4 cards across SLI, but people are really, I'm excited about this. I just bought myself a 980. I'm definitely going to wait to see where the 1080 goes and if I need to go there, but it's going to be able to handle a bunch of 4K monitors. It's the next step that they had to go, and the fact that they're bringing it out at half the price of a much higher end card and officially more power, it's exciting.
Right.
The last product on our list is, I think, maybe the most exciting one here. It's the Migo flexible tripod.
Oh, I didn't even look this up. 1 second.
I could describe it very, very easily. If Salvador Dali or Dr. Seuss designed a tripod, this would be it.
It's bendable, it's flexible. You can wrap it around a pole or
it's
a branch.
It's called the Splat, and it's exactly describes
yes, I've seen it.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
yeah.
It would actually make interesting headgear. Okay,
I've
I
seen
have
it.
all kinds of
Tripod,
thoughts about
yeah.
that.
It looks pretty cool. Yeah.
It does.
It's like Salvador Dali's liquid clocks.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
I've
wonderful.
seen this.
But however, there are many good applications for a tool like this. We look at them and there you say it's a giggle and it's a gimmick, but no, you know what? I could see plenty of uses for that.
It's flat, and they make it in different sizes. So if for your GoPro and for your thing, for your SLR,
you can
so
mold
different
the
weights.
tripod around whatever it is that's what's kind of
It's
neat.
like moldable plastic. I mean,
And it's sturdy
Think
enough.
slap bracelets, and that's really
Right,
what
exactly.
this thing is.
But it's sturdy and it'll hold big
Yes.
cameras.
Have
too.
you used it,
Yeah.
John?
No, I haven't used it. I'm just reading the specs. Sorry.
nice. Yeah, they have it like you wrap it around trees or poles, and I saw
And
this
it'll stand
actually a
on its
while
own.
ago.
It'll stand on its own too. Also.
Yeah, it's a
That's-
tripod.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a
exactly.
quad pod.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I think to all of our listeners, we gave you plenty of an incentive to pay off your credit card so that you could fill it up again. Thank you, Levi. Thank you, Zev. And always thank you to John Harris and Jason Tables. Give us your opinions on Twitter at BHPhotoVideo with the hashtag BHPhotoPodcast. And please rate and leave a review on iTunes. My name is Alan Weitz. Thank you so much for joining us today.